Big news, Ravens fans. Keaton Mitchell, our explosive running back, has been sidelined with an injury, and everyone's been holding their breath. But just now, new details about his condition were revealed, and they could change everything for the start of the season. Could he be back sooner than we thought? What does this mean for Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, and the Ravens offense? Stick around, because we're breaking down everything you need to know, and you won't want to miss a single detail. When Keaton Mitchell went down with an injury, Ravens fans instantly panicked. This wasn't just any injury. It brought back memories of everything he'd gone through before. Mitchell was finally starting to regain his confidence, showing that explosive playmaking ability that got everyone excited in 2023. And suddenly, the nightmare of another long absence seemed to be looming. You could feel that pit in your stomach as fans watched, hoping this wasn't going to be a repeat of the past. And this is exactly when a coach's words matter most. John Harbaugh didn't leave room for speculation or panic. He went straight to the point, revealing that Mitchell's issue was just a hamstring strain. Any muscle injury is concerning, but when it comes after a serious knee surgery, every little detail counts. The fact that it wasn't structural immediately shifted the mood in the stands, from sheer fear to instant relief. It got even better when Harbaugh clarified that there's a chance Mitchell could return as early as this week. Even if that doesn't happen, the guarantee is that he'll be ready by the season opener at the latest. That kind of confidence from the coach matters not just to fans, but to the entire locker room. When the team's leader speaks with certainty, everyone breathes a little easier and buys into the idea that the worst is over. And for Mitchell, that means the offensive plan won't have to be thrown together in a rush. For fans, hearing that Mitchell will be ready for the opener is like a huge weight lifted off their shoulders. Of course, there's always a natural caution with hamstring injuries. They can linger longer than expected, but Harbaugh made it clear there's no reason to panic. That clarity lets fans start dreaming again about a fully healthy Mitchell, ready to share the backfield with Derrick Henry, and provide a change of pace that could completely transform the Ravens' offense. And perhaps most importantly, Harbaugh didn't just talk timelines. He delivered confidence. The way he handled the update shows that Mitchell remains central to the team's plans, and that his temporary absence doesn't change what he represents this season. And from that optimistic stance comes the big question: how will this update shape how fans and coaches view Mitchell's role going forward? After the initial scare, what really made the difference was how John Harbaugh handled things. He could have been vague, leaving fans guessing, but he didn't. He was direct, transparent, and delivered a clear message of optimism. Harbaugh didn't just say Mitchell would be ready for the opener. He also hinted he could return to practice as early as this week. Coming from a coach who's usually cautious with injuries, that carries serious weight. For fans, it's a sign that the situation is under control. And this confidence doesn't come out of nowhere. Harbaugh knows fans are still carrying scars from last season, when Mitchell returned slow, lacking explosiveness, and looked nothing like the player who dazzled before his knee injury. That's why the coach's words now feel different. He saw Mitchell on the field against the Colts. He saw the speed, the cuts, the confidence in his movements. That first-hand look gave him the assurance to say the running back will be ready, and that completely changes how fans hear the news. Another key point: hamstrings are notoriously tricky. Any seasoned fan knows a thigh injury can drag on longer than expected and even derail a season. But Harbaugh's tone makes it clear that's not the case here. He didn't overplay concern or drop cautious warnings. He made it clear that Mitchell is expected to be available and ready to contribute right away. When a coach speaks like that, fans trust it. This kind of communication goes beyond a simple medical update. Harbaugh is practically reinforcing Mitchell's value in the offensive scheme. By showing such confidence in his recovery, he's also sending a message to the locker room. We need this guy. He's part of our plan and will be there when it matters. That strengthens Mitchell's morale and reassures the team that all the pieces will be in place when the season kicks off. And this confidence didn't appear overnight. It's built on what Mitchell showed against the Colts. Which brings us to the next point: how that game completely changed perceptions and reignited hopes that Mitchell could be the explosive piece this offense has been missing. If there was any doubt about what Keaton Mitchell could still offer after that serious knee injury, his performance against the Colts answered it fast. In just 9 carries, He racked up 68 yards and found the end zone for a touchdown, showing the explosive playmaking fans had been missing. And it wasn't just about the yards. He gained them with speed, sharp cuts, and confidence in taking on defenders. For a few moments, it was almost like everyone forgot the 2023 struggles and got to see the real Mitchell again. And this wasn't just another solid preseason performance. He was named the Ravens Standout Player of the Game, a recognition that goes way beyond stats. It showed that in the locker room and among coaches, Mitchell is still seen as a game changer. For a player who spent months hearing doubts about his recovery and whether he could return to form, this kind of recognition carries huge emotional weight. It's a vote of confidence that reinforces his importance to the team. What stood out most was how fearless he looked on the field. After a major injury like his, many players hesitate, avoiding full-speed contact. Mitchell did the opposite. He ran like he had something to prove, like he wanted to show he still has plenty of football left in him. That mindset is contagious, and it makes a huge difference for a team that needs players who can fire up the crowd and provide extra energy in critical moments. And here's the big question. If Mitchell could perform at this level right in his first game back, what can we expect once he's fully integrated into the offense? His showing against the Colts was more than a glimpse. It was a preview of the impact he can have when healthy. At the same time, it also highlights the painful contrast with last season, when he clearly wasn't at the same pace. And that contrast is exactly what grabs attention. Against the Colts, he showed the player he can be, but last year's struggles still linger in memory. That tension between past and present sets up the next reflection. How do his 2024 struggles factor into how fans view his future? As exciting as Mitchell's performance against the Colts was, we can't ignore the shadow of last season. When he finally returned from a serious knee surgery, expectations were sky high. Fans thought he'd come back and change the Ravens' offense. Instead, he struggled, putting up just 30 yards on 15 carries, a frustrating stat for someone who'd been so explosive before the injury. Fans expecting a blazing speedster got a player who seemed hesitant, lacking confidence and impact. That contrast is what makes the current moment so special. The 2024 Mitchell seemed like a ghost of himself, and many wonder if he'd ever return to that quick, explosive form. The disappointment was even bigger because Derrick Henry wasn't part of the team yet, and the Ravens needed a complementary weapon for Lamar Jackson. Not having Mitchell at full strength left a gap and raised doubts. Some analysts even question whether he could ever be the same again. That's why this recent preseason showing carries such weight. It's not just about yards or touchdowns, but about proving he still has that spark. Against the Colts, we saw an athlete running free, moving with the naturalness that had seemed lost. It was almost like a direct answer to all the criticism and doubts from the past months. For fans, this turnaround is emotionally powerful. It shifts the narrative from disappointment to renewed hope. Still, last season serves as a warning. Serious injuries aren't erased overnight, and Mitchell's recent history reminds everyone that any setback could slow his return. That's why, even with all the excitement from his Colts performance, there's a natural caution in not getting carried away. Fans know they need to see consistency before fully believing the worst is behind him. And that consistency doesn't rely solely on Mitchell. It also depends on how he's used. Unlike last year, this time he'll have Derrick Henry alongside him. And it's exactly this pairing, Henry's brute strength and Mitchell's speed, that could be one of the biggest keys to the Ravens' success in 2025.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
If last season left doubts about Keaton Mitchell, the arrival of Derrick Henry changes everything. Henry is one of the most dominant running backs of the last decade, known for his physical style, punishing defenses with sheer power, and consistently producing even under constant contact. But at 31, he can't carry the entire ground game alone. That's where Mitchell comes in, with a completely different profile, light, explosive, and capable of breaking big plays in seconds. That contrast creates a duo that could be an absolute nightmare for any defense. Mitchell doesn't have to be the guy carrying the offense on his back like some expected back in 2023. His role now is to complement Henry, providing that change of pace that keeps defenses guessing. When a defense adjusts to handle Henry's power, Mitchell steps in and completely shifts the rhythm, punishing tired defenders with his speed. This dynamic not only prolongs Henry's effectiveness, but also opens up a world of offensive possibilities. For Lamar Jackson, this combination is pure gold. He's already a constant threat with his legs, and having two backs with such contrasting styles makes the offense almost impossible to predict. Imagine a defense trying to stop Henry's brute strength, Mitchell's speed, and Lamar's improvisation all at once. It's a nightmare scenario. Harbaugh gets it, which is why Mitchell isn't treated just as a backup. He's a strategic piece to add depth and unpredictability to the offense. And here's the key. This secondary role might be exactly what Mitchell needs to thrive. Without the pressure carrying everything, he can focus on what he does best, using his acceleration and explosiveness to punish defenses and swing games at critical moments. What once raised questions about whether he could return to form now becomes anticipation for how he can elevate one of the most intriguing running back duos in the NFL. To really understand why there's so much hype around this setup, just remember what Mitchell showed before his knee injury. His pre-injury stats reveal the kind of impact he can have when healthy, and that track record is a foundation for the confidence that he can be far more than just a complementary piece. When we talk about Keaton Mitchell, we can't ignore the numbers he put up before his knee injury in 2023. He was unstoppable, averaging an incredible 8.4 yards per carry. Those kinds of numbers don't happen every day in the NFL. They're the mark of a special player, someone who can turn even simple plays into huge gains. For Ravens fans, those flashes were proof that Mitchell wasn't just another running back on the roster, but a true game-changing weapon. Those stats became a constant reminder of what he can offer when healthy. Even during last season's frustrations, when he looked far from his best, fans could recall that explosive start. It was like the numbers were shouting, "This guy is something special. He just needs to be 100%. That memory is what kept fans patient and believing there was more to see from Mitchell. The game against the Colts reinforced that idea, showing exactly what the old numbers suggested. Mitchell doesn't need a ton of opportunities to make an impact. 9 carries were enough for nearly 70 yards and a touchdown. That kind of efficiency isn't luck. It proves his explosive style can turn an offense on its head at any moment. Pair that with what we just saw in the preseason, and it's easy to see why Harbaugh talks with so much confidence about his importance. At the same time, those stats add pressure. It's not enough that he showed this potential once. The expectation now is for him to deliver consistently. Fans and coaches know what he's capable of, which means any subpar performance can quickly frustrate everyone. That natural pressure comes with talent, but it's also the fuel that can push Mitchell to prove, week after week, that this is who he really is as a player. And that delicate balance between expectation and reality is what makes the current moment so compelling. Even with all the history and excitement, the recent hamstring issue is a reminder that nothing is guaranteed. The big question now is, what should we expect from Mitchell going forward, and how will the Ravens manage him to make sure he stays healthy all season? With all the pieces in place, the big question is, what can we expect from Keaton Mitchell in the upcoming season? The good news is John Harbaugh made it clear that the hamstring issue shouldn't keep him out for week 1, and that alone changes the outlook completely. We're not talking about a player sidelined for months. This is someone who could be ready from the very first snap of the regular season. With an offense featuring Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, having Mitchell healthy add a layer of unpredictability that few defenses can handle. That said, muscle injuries can be tricky. Players can feel ready, come back quickly, and then have setbacks that cost precious weeks. That's why, even with Harbaugh's optimism, fans naturally stay cautious. Nobody wants to see Mitchell go through another season of ups and downs physically. The hope is that this will finally be the campaign where he stays healthy and shows all the potential he's proven he has. If he avoids setbacks, Mitchell could be the perfect complement to Henry, adding depth and changing the pace of the offense. He doesn't need to carry the ball 20 times a game to be decisive. He just needs the right opportunities and the right situations to shift the momentum. That combination of power and speed in the backfield could be exactly what the Ravens need to take their offense to the next level in big games, where every detail counts. For Mitchell himself, this is a chance to completely rewrite his story. Instead of being remembered as an explosive talent limited by injuries, he can become the resilient player who overcame an ACL tear, silenced the doubts, and found his place as a key piece in a Super Bowl contending team. The anticipation is real, and this time, it feels more achievable than ever. And ultimately, that's what keeps the fans fired up. The feeling that if he's healthy, Mitchell could be the X factor that transforms the Ravens' offense into something even more formidable. Keaton Mitchell's return could be the relief Ravens fans have been waiting for. After a season filled with doubt and physical limitations, he's shown he still has explosiveness, speed, and that knack for making game-changing plays. Having him healthy alongside Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson isn't just good news. It's a strategic advantage that can create opportunities no defense can predict. But the season is just starting, and every moment will matter. Can Mitchell stay healthy and reach the level we all know he's capable of? The anticipation is huge, and every game will be a chance to prove that his return was worth it. And now we want to hear from you. How do you see Mitchell impacting the Ravens' offense this season? Get ready, because if he's at his best, the Ravens' backfield could be one of the deadliest weapons in the NFL in 2025.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself. See you there, and until the next video, go Flock.